Okay, today we are going to begin chapter 9. We're going to talk about conic sections. These are all of the different shapes of graphs. Let me just click the slide here and give you a little bit better picture. Conic section, a figure formed by the intersection of a plane and a right circular cone. Depending on the angle of the plane, you can see in the picture the planes are orange. With respect to the cone, a conic section could be a circle, ellipse, parabola, or hyperbola. So those are the 4 different figures we're going to be focused on this chapter: circle, ellipse, parabola, hyperbola. We are going to start, of course, with circles. They're the easiest, except drawing a circle is a little challenging sometimes. Then we'll get into parabolas, and then ellipse, and hyperbolas. So these are the different figures that we're going to be drawing this chapter. Circles, let's do it. So a circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point, h comma k, called the center. The standard form of the equation of the circle. So you can see in red, you need to fill this in on your note sheet. So let me give you a couple seconds to write that down. And of course, HK is the center, R is the radius. Now, just a couple of things quick to point out to you. It's all about the signs on here. Notice in your standard form you have minus H, but when we write down our center, it's positive H really. So you are always changing the signs. So if that first set of parentheses said x minus 5 squared, you would write down the center, the coordinate is positive 5. Same for the y. Minus k, positive k. So you're always changing the signs. Okay, so let's start nice and easy. Identify the center and radius of the circle. Now, there are no numbers with x, no numbers with y, so your center, 0, 0. I could get fancy and write this out. X minus 0 squared, y minus 0 squared. But again, y. X minus 0, x, y minus 0, y. So if there's no numbers in parentheses with x and y, our center, of course, 0, 0. Radius. So remember we equal radius squared, so a little mental math. What number squared is 49? 7. Or of course, I guess you could square root 49 to cancel out the square root. All right, B, center. All about the signs. We have minus 1 in parentheses, so we're going to put positive 1. No number with y, so 0. Now, radius, we equal 15, of course, which is not a perfect square, so I'm just going to put the square root of 15. It's my perfect exact radius for that guy. So throw back to geometry, everybody. Write the equation of the circle in standard form, then identify center and radius, and then we will draw it. So, of course, the important part is standard form. So let me click it back a couple sides. Look at your standard form in red. You have those 2 quantities squared. To make quantities squared, we are going to complete the square. So back to some algebra skills. Now first I'm going to rearrange this equation a little bit. I'm going to put the x's together. Then I'm going to put the y's together. So I'm going to put my y squared and 6y together. Notice I'm intentionally leaving a little space there. That's on purpose. You'll see why in a minute. And I'm going to put my equals. Again, I left a little room on purpose, and I'm just going to subtract 9 and move it to the other side. Got it. All right, let's complete our square. Now, you know how to do this. We're going to add a number here that will make that factor into a perfect square. A little review. We're going to do half of b and square it. Remember, b is the middle coefficient or the linear coefficient. So I'm going to do half of negative 2, which of course is negative 1, and then I'm going to square that. Now, if I add a number on the left side of the equation, of course I'm going to balance and add it to the right side. Okay, for the y's, same process. Half of b, so half of 6, 3, squared 9. Balance on the other side. Now, the purpose of that, I'm just going to erase these little calculations out of the bottom, get them out of the way. Now, our red trinomial factors. 2 numbers that multiply to 1 and add to negative 2, negative 1, negative 1. We're going to put a quantity squared, of course. Same for the green y's. 2 numbers that multiply to 9 and add to 6, 3 and 3. And again, we'll put a quantity squared. I'm going to add up all this stuff over there on the right-hand side. 9's cancel. You end up with 1. So that's the most amount of work you're going to have to do today to get them into the form. Now, just like before, I'm going to jot down the center. I'm going to change the sign on minus 1 to 1. I'm going to change the sign on plus 3 to negative 3. And remember, this equals our radius squared. So what number squared is 1? 1. So it's going to be a pretty small circle. So I'm going to plot the center, of course, 1, negative 3. From the center, now I count the radius. I'm going to go up 1, right 1, down 1, left 1. And here we go. I'm going to try to draw a little baby circle around that. Not too bad. Could be better, could be worse. All right, let's practice, because of course the most amount of work is getting them in the standard form. So just like the first problem, I'm going to go ahead and put the x's together. 12x. I said x and I wrote y. Let's change that to an x. Okay. And then I'm going to put the y's together. 4y squared minus 24y. And let's just go ahead and mentally subtract 41 to the right-hand side. Now, we have a little extra work on our completing the square here on the x's because this lousy 4 in the front. Remember, our lead coefficient needs to be a 1. So I'm going to factor 4 out of my x squared. 4 times 3 is 12. I'm going to put the blank in. Okay, just like before, I'm going to jot it down here in the bottom. We're going to complete the square. We're going to do half of 3. So 1 1/2, 3 halves, however you want to put it. And then I'm going to square that. So square the 3, square the 2. So 9 over 4. Okay, so let me, because we're going to have to balance that, I'm going to keep my negative 41 over here. Now, a little careful here. We really have, I'm not going to put plus 9/4 over there because you have this distributor ruling over that. I really put a 9 on the left side. 4 times 9/4 is 9. So I'm going to balance off a 9. Okay, similar process for the y's. I'm going to factor the 4 out. Okay, 4 times, of course, 6 is 24. I'm going to put my blank in there. I'm going to complete my square on 6. Half of 6, 3 squared, 9. Now I'm not just going to right away go plus 9 on the right-hand side because we have this distributor. I really put 36 on the left side, so I'm going to balance and put 36 on the right side. Okay, I'm just going to erase these little calculations on the bottom so I have enough room. All right, believe it or not, this does factor. 2 numbers that multiply to 9/4 and add to 3. If you're bad at fractions, remember the little cheat. It's whatever you got when you did half of b. So when I did half of 3, I had 3 halves, or 1 1/2. Okay, same for the y's. Multiply to 9, add to negative 6. That's nice. Negative 3, negative 3. And then we're going to add up everything over here on the right side. Negative 41 plus 9 plus 36, 4. Now, I have one last calculation to do. Let me just click it back here a couple sides. And remember on these, our standard form, you really have a 1 and a 1 in front of those. So, I've got this little bit of extra work. I need to get rid of all of these 4s. So I'm going to divide everything by 4. Okay, a lot of math on this one. 4's are out, so I have x plus 3 halves. 4's are out, y minus 3 halves. Minus 3. 4 over 4, 1 again. Luck of the draw that it's 1. They don't all equal 1, just for the record. Okay, center. Let's jot it down. Opposite, we're going to switch the sign on plus 3 halves to negative 3 halves. Switch the sign on negative 3 to 3. And again, 1 equals our radius squared, so our radius will be 1. Again, they're not all 1. Now, estimate your center best you can. You're really at negative 1.5 comma 3. So negative 1.5 and then up 3. That looks pretty good. To me, you're going to estimate it. Same thing, radius. Up 1, right 1 unit, which puts you kind of in the middle, obviously. Down 1, left 1. Whew. Okay. Got it. So the most amount of work, of course, is when you have to complete the square and put them in standard form. There are 3 of those on the homework, just for the record. All right, find the standard form of the equation of the circle with the given characteristics. So nice they gave us the center, but they just gave us some random point on the circle. So the problem is we need the radius. That is the big question. What's the radius? So I'm going to start with just our standard form equation. This, of course, is on your notes. I'm just jotting it down so it's in front of us. So let's see what we know here. We've got our center of 3, 7. So that's my h and k. So I'm going to plug those in. That's my next move here. We don't know r, so I'm going to go ahead and leave r squared. So center, positive 3. I'm going to put it negative 3. Positive 7. So we switch the sign. Now, they also tell you this point on the circle. Points, of course, x, y. So I'm going to replace x with 1, y with 0. Now I'm just going to do a little quick calculations here and we'll be able to figure out our r squared. 1 minus 3, negative 2 squared. 0 minus 7, negative 7 squared. And of course I'm going to add that up, 53. You could square root it to get the radius, but remember in our equation, I need it in the squared form, so I'm just going to leave it. So final answer, here we go. I'll put my radius squared in, I've got that. All right, so we're going to leave our x and y, because there's an infinite amount of points on the circle. Our center, of course, is fixed, so I'm going to put the 3 in, but I changed the sign, and I'm going to put the 7 in with the sign change. So a little bit of calculations in order to get the r squared. Okay, let's take a look. Let's do another one of those. So same thing, my center, there's your h and k, my x and y. We're going to figure out the r squared. I'm just kind of setting up our formula here. Okay, center, negative 1, so I'm going to put plus 1. K is 2, so minus 2. Then I'm going to put in negative 3 for x, negative 2 for y. Now I'm just going to do the math. Negative 3 plus 1, negative 2 squared. Negative 2 minus 2, negative 4 squared. So 4 plus 16, 20. Again, you could square root it to get the radius, but in our equation, we need the r squared form, so I'm just going to leave it as 20. Okay, final answer. Again, infinite amount of points on the circle, so we're going to leave x and y alone. The center is fixed, so I'm going to put in the h and the k. H is negative 1, so I'm going to change it to plus 1. K is 2, so I'm going to change it to minus 2. Got it. All right, final problem of the day is the easiest one. They gave you everything, the center and the radius. I don't even really have to do anything. So my center minus 3, I'm going to make it plus 3. Negative 5, so I'm going to change it to positive 5. And I can square 6, radius squared. Got it. No work needed, everybody's favorite. So of course you have a worksheet for homework. Please make sure you read the directions closely. It does tell you on, I believe it's 10, 11, and 12 to make sure you complete the square and to show all work. Those are going to take you the most amount of work, but there's only 3. All right, have a great day.